Welcome to Masterclass. I'm Pamela Giacarino, Editor-in-Chief of Luxe Interiors Design. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Anna Bond, co-founder and Chief Creative Officer of Rifle Paper. What began as a stationery startup in 2009 has bloomed into a celebrated lifestyle brand. Collaborations with Anthropologie, Keds, L'Occitane, Laloy Rugs, and more has brought Rifle Paper into homes around the world. This past summer, Rifle released a gorgeous new wallpaper collection with York wall coverings. Anna, welcome. It's so nice to see you and be with you here today.
Thank you. Great to see you too. Happy to be here.
We've got a lot of ground to cover because I have so many questions for you. And I want to start off and say congratulations. The design world is thrilled that you had your new collection with York wall coverings. And I wanted to ask you, I assume that wallpaper was something that was was sort of on your vision board because it just naturally dovetails with what you're doing at Rifle. But can you tell us a little bit about how the collaboration came together?
Yeah, so we, back in 2013, we had a very small collection that came out and it was popular, but we weren't able to really grow it in the way that we felt like we wanted to. So after we started getting more into home with Laloy and doing rugs, we really felt like we needed to launch wallpaper in a bigger way. So York was one of the first people that we reached out to because I love that they're a heritage US brand. They've been around for over 100 years. And it just felt like they would be the perfect fit to design the collection with us and really lend their expertise into the industry. And they've been amazing partners. And I've loved working with them and seeing their factory in Pennsylvania and visiting up there a few times. So it's been a really fun process.
That's great. Well, we're absolutely thrilled. And tell us a little bit about the collection and sort of the inspiration behind it. I know that I read that one of your favorite papers is the Command, which is inspired by Kate Hill's 18th century farmhouse in France. She's a professional cook or chef for people who are not familiar. But tell us a little bit about what was in your head and also what was York's sort of play in all of this?
Well, we really wanted to get a variety of kind of everything from classic Rifle prints to more basics, if you will, things that were more livable, things that were colorful, really represent the Rifle Paper Company color palette, also make it home friendly. So there are all these little boxes that we were trying to check with everything. And yeah, I think my personal favorite is the Come Out one just because it really tells a story. And I had gone to Kate's 18th century farmhouse in France on a trip by myself with a few other women that I met there. And it was just such a magical experience. So that one, I just love all the little details in it. There's little fig trees and chickens, and it just has a lot of elements in it. So it was really fun to paint that one. And then we have things in the collection that are very classic. Florals that we've used in other mediums, and those have been really successful. We have murals, and then some solid grass cloth coverings that kind of pair with everything. So tried to make a little mix and match too.
Yeah. So how do you, creatively, you go on this trip. I assume that you were there to sort of like dive into French cuisine and you're inspired, and talk a little bit about what goes on for you as sort of the chief creative officer, the artistic vision behind Rifle in terms of, what are you doing, and are you taking pictures and then going back and painting? Walk us through that process of sort of, how you're inspired by a place or an image, and then how do you go from that to sort of this fully realized design?
For that one specific, I took a ton of photos there because it was just a really beautiful place and such a great experience. And then I knew I wanted to do something from that trip, and so I kind of saved these things that I loved about it, and then the wallpaper just felt like the perfect medium to do it. And then other things just come about through, sometimes we'll take an element from one thing, or it could be a leaf, it could be kind of anything that kind of draws inspiration. And then I think part of my biggest job is to really try to look at everything as a whole and make sure it's coming together as a collection, and that it has balance to it, and that when you look at everything together, it tells a story for the collection, not only individually.
I see your fabulous mood boards. I'm a big mood board person myself. So is that sort of your, like in terms of your process, Anna, are you going somewhere, or you have an idea and you are mood boarding it first? I mean, Rifle has like this aesthetic that everybody, wants, like the color palette, like, right? It's sort of like, we want you to draw within these certain lines that are like the beloved Rifle, the botanicals and the colors, but when you're working on a specific collection, and let's say like a collaboration for York, are you putting things on the wall and then sketching a lot, or do you just get right down into the painting of it?
I do kind of dive into the painting more than I sketch, or if I do, I think my process for sketching is actually more written. I'll write down ideas, like words, but often won't sketch the design unless I need to kind of work out layout. But I would say most of they're more like idea journals than they are sketchbooks. And then I do like to just dive in and paint. And then I do a lot of work on the computer afterwards too, where I'll paint elements and then use the computer and Photoshop to piece things together and see how they'll work or change colors. So it definitely all starts with a hand-painted illustration, but then either myself or my team will do work on the back end to see how we can use it and how we can experiment with colors and scale and different things like that.
You have so many collaborations. How much fun was it for wallpaper? And also, was this, because this scale is so, like, you have your rug collection, but then seeing things on the wall. Talk a little bit about what that was like to do, specifically see your work in wallpaper.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, I had so many ideas going. I had a Pinterest board of vintage wallpapers, and so I think going in, we had a lot of ideas to talk about, and it was fun to work with York because they also have an archive we could look through and really lean on them for different types of repeats and different ways to construct patterns for the wall. And one thing I wanted to do is give nods in different patterns. Like we have a sort of a classic lattice pattern, and I thought that was fun to update and make a little more modern. So it was definitely a collaborative process and really fun to about things for the home in a different kind of way, because something on your walls is, it's a big commitment and it's definitely different than even a rug that you can switch out a little more often. Like wallpaper is not permanent, but somewhat permanent.
But you have peel and stick too, I see now,
yes.
Right? So that's something that's, right. Wallpaper is, we see so much, so much more attention to walls and wallpaper, which we love because we love color and pattern and individual expression. But another trend that we see in something that you offer too is sort of a peel and stick for people that are renting or maybe want to just test it out. So I think that's a great thing to have as well, if you're a little commitment shy.
Yeah, we already have it out. We didn't expect to launch it so quickly, but as soon as we launched the collection, people were asking, and so York was great, and that we pivoted and said, let's get a few prints out, peel and stick, and now we're working on a whole new collection to launch in peel and stick after the new year. So excited about that.
That's great. So I want to talk a little bit, I want to nerd out on mediums and all, right, I know this is just like an art nerd conversation because it's just something that I think our audience is interested in. I know I am, but so all of your, original artwork that you do is, I think I have this correct, that it's mostly done in gouache, which is an opaque watercolor. And talk a little bit about, there are so many mediums that are out there. I believe that this is a medium that, you've been working with, from the get-go, but talk a little bit about your love for gouache and why that's a medium that for you, with rifle, you turn to that medium. I think for the most part, I'm not sure if you use any other mediums as well when you're sort of painting your expression for the brand.
Well, I used to paint acrylics, and then I painted a lot in watercolor before we started rifle, and was during that time I was trying to find my style anyway, just what felt like me. I was young, just I knew I loved art, but still trying to find what was unique to myself. And I remember going to the art store and just seeing gouache, and I never painted with it, but it comes in small tubes like watercolor, and so I thought, let's try this. And I think the first thing I painted was like an alphabet poster for my future sister-in-law. So I don't know, just something about it changed the way I painted. It's very flat and opaque and very velvety. The colors are super rich, and it just sort of clicked with me, and I fell in love with it, and there was sort of no turning back. Every once in a while I try to use a different medium for rifle, and it just doesn't feel the same. So far that is kind of what everything is done with. And I paint on paper, like flat watercolor paper, and then so it makes it easy to scan. But there's just something about the colors especially that I just love. And
yeah. They're beautiful, and they do have that velvety richness to them. Talking about the color, which is so important to rifle, it's so important to design and decor. I feel like the rifle paper aesthetic, as I mentioned earlier, has just been so consistent in terms of, the color palette. Where do you turn to when you're thinking about color? Where do you turn to, and how much do you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't go off? So, like, is it scary to think about going into a different color palette aesthetic? Or do you do so for different collaborations? But talk about color for a bit.
Well, there's definitely a rifle palette that we started with. We still use those colors. Say it's sort of like a peach, hunter green, a very orangey red. There's some, like, those colors have been around since the beginning. And so I do feel like there's like tones that we constantly go back to, which helps make everything feel consistent, whether it's a card or a rug. But at the same time, we've for sure evolved the color palette. Probably the first year or two, I don't think I used blue or purple at all. And so I still remember I was like, I'm going to use blue. We're going to introduce it. And now we use every color, but it's definitely like been evolved over time. But I think that consistency of these core colors we come back to really, like I said, ties everything together and makes the brand feel consistent. And at this point, I don't feel very limited in where we can go, but there's definitely colors we kind of ease into, and then we'll use more and more. And it's interesting in the home space, what colors are more popular there, not necessarily the same as what works on a journal. So we try to be careful of that and learn from our partners. So what colors work in the marketplace? Where can we push it? I really wanted to do some green wallpapers. I think some of them is inspired by paint colors I'd seen from Farrow and Ball that I really love seeing on the walls, and how can we incorporate some of those more interesting, unique colors that I love in interiors into what we do and kind of push things a little bit. So,
speaking of color and interiors, your own home. It's so interesting because like you're living in this like bright and poppy, beautiful rifle world with what you and your husband Nathan have created. And your home was published, I feel like it was maybe a couple of years ago, and it's beautiful, but it's very monochromatic. It's like sort of a monochromatic mix of black and white with touches of gold. And so I wanted to ask you about your home and sort of, do you have it sort of monochromatic because you need sort of a palette cleanser from what you're doing? And as you evolve in sort of your own home evolution, how how has that gone? And are you putting wallpapers up in your own home now?
Yeah, I would say it definitely when I was design. So we bought a house and we completely renovated it. And at the time, I really felt like I needed a palette cleanser, something that I could come home from all the color and just sort of take a deep breath in and kind of reset. But I do feel like as we've lived in the house now, I think 3 years or so, I'm starting to incorporate more and more color. I just put up the green canopy wallpaper, which is this one behind me, in one of my son's rooms, and I put up the Kamat wallpaper in our powder bathroom. So yeah, I think I've been trying to embrace color more and more at home and find things that really make me happy. But yeah, I think going into it, it was very much not because I didn't love color, but just that I needed this alternative space than what I do every day at work. So
That's great. I was interested in, you know, you're such a creative force and visionary, and you know, you're also running like a huge empire, and you're a mother of 3 boys. So how do you talk a little bit about, Anna, how you sort of fill your own creative well, and how do you express yourself creatively outside of, you know, the work that you're doing? Or is it all, you know, or is it all sort of interrelated? I know you've got a great Instagram live, I believe it was your first, where you sort of like put together this charcuterie board. That was fantastic. So I know that you're also, I believe that you're sort of like a little bit of a foodie too, which is also a creative process to create through cooking. But how do you just, you know, keep that creative well full for yourself?
well, it used to be that I would go to our New York office like once a month, and that's not happening right now. But that used to be really, you know, I'd be by myself for a couple days. Usually, just go for 1 or 2 nights, and just the energy of New York and traveling by myself. I love to travel by myself and be in a hotel, or I would go to the Met and walk around by myself, and that's very fulfilling to me. Since COVID hit, you know, I think the first couple of months are really challenging, probably for so many of us to feel creative, and definitely went through that rut. And at this point, you know, trying to find little things like, yeah, my new painting hobby and cooking, or I just started going to a book club with some other moms and stuff that trying to carve out things that I felt like I didn't have time for before, but I feel like are very necessary to feel social and do something different and do things that are inspiring but not necessarily part of work life. So it's little things like that that have been helpful the last few months. So.
That's great. What is surprising about the creative process, or sort of, you know, what, I mean, I think, is everything surprising? I know you know, you started the brand, it's sort of like a stationery, you know, I think you like hand painted your own stationery for your wedding, and that's really, and put it out on Flickr, and that's what sort of, you know, took off. When you look back now, you know, like did you envision that you would be in this place?
No, no. When we started, I mean, we were just sort of like tunnel vision, make it work. I think we had big ideas, but we didn't really sit down and articulate what those were, or really have a vision of where we'd end up. I think in the beginning, it was just like figure out how to make money in general and like survive. But yeah, I think it's definitely got bigger than I probably ever had thought it could be, and into more categories than ever. But at the same time, even though we started with stationery, and even though it's the heart of the brand and what I love, I'm so excited to do these other categories too, and feel very inspired by how we can take our aesthetic and put it on things that people use every day in their lives. And I think one of the things about the brand that people have said over and over, especially lately, is that it just makes them happy, and it just brings a bit of joy to their life. And so I think that can show up in all different ways and places in your life. So that's really our goal, is to create things that are beautiful and happy and just bring a little bit of joy, because I think we could all use that.
Yeah, I remember. It's funny, you just reminded me, a few years ago we had an editor meeting down here. We have an office in New York and an office in Florida, much like you. And one of the editors must have reached out to your company, and you were kind enough to send us some kind of stationery. Everyone opened it and they were so excited, all the editors. So it was a great way for us to kick off our meeting. I have two questions before we wrap it up and go back to our respective, to-do list guys. Is I know that you're sort of like, venturing into home decor. So talk a little bit about why you love that category in general, and also, what visions do you have for, maybe, like, what do you fantasize about when you think about Rifle? You've got rugs and wallpaper. Is there anything else that personally you're really into when it comes to the home, or that you think about for the Rifle brand?
Yeah, I think, well, I love interiors just personally. I love following interior design and architects. And so for me, it feels very close to me. And so I think now that we have walls and floors, like, I think we're trying to fill a lot of those spaces in between and a lot of the smaller accessories for the home. So we have planned some trays and mugs, candles, things that are accessories or gifts that go for the home, and that's really exciting. And then bigger than that, hopefully we'll have more tabletop. I would love to do bedding or throws. With Aloy, we're doing some floor pillows, so that'll be a fun introduction in next year with them. So yeah, it's kind of just looking at what our customers asking for and what we feel like we can get into. But yeah, some of the immediate things are some of those smaller, fun, easier things for the home.
That'll be we'll all be waiting with bated breath. I'm gonna say bedding would be pretty amazing. And just thank you so much. I think Rifle just continues to really delight and captivate us and bring us joy. Is there anything like breaking news that's coming? I know you've got a second collection with York coming out for wall covering.
Yes, we will have more peel and stick. We'll have some more murals in that collection. We have a new Aloy collection launching pretty soon. And then we just launched for the holidays some sort of keepsake silk scarves. So that was a personal desire of mine to make those for a long time. So I'm excited that we have those, and I would love to get one framed and photograph that, because I think that they're also sort of could be beautiful art pieces if you frame them. But yeah, just, I don't know, we're keeping busy and lots on the to-do list.
I'm sure. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for making the time and talking with me today. And I know our viewers are big fans of Rifle, and we continue to admire you and the brand. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, I'm Liz Collins. Welcome to my newest project, Dynamic Expansion. This is an installation that combines art and design that's literally cut from the same cloth. We have 7 paintings here, 5 Ligne Roset sofas, and a whole world of pattern, color, and texture through the fabrics produced by Pollock. When Ligne Roset invited me to do an installation in their space, I really thought that this would be the opportune moment for me to design a collection of fabrics. One classic in terms of it being a grid, and there's a certain kind of serenity. Then there's a fabric in the middle pattern size that's called gingham maize, and it's got this kind of meandering tile. And then we have dynamic expansion, huge and angular. There's really something for everyone in this collection. And the fact that they can be used inside or outside is a total, coup. How can we have such a fanciful collection of fabrics exist in our outdoor life? I think that's a really exciting premise. This is my second project with Ligne Roset and Sunbrella, and this environment is a really great example of building on relationships. I wanted to create an environment that was full of that kind of pattern and layers of material and color and kind of contrasts of different kinds of shapes. The environment has to be idiosyncratic. For me, that's essential as an artist, to subvert the expected. What's hanging from the ceiling are pieces that I call shapeshifters, and I call them that because these paintings are able to be hung in many different ways. So you can adjust the rings to make them hang at different angles and different heights. I didn't want to match these pieces to the sofas. You know, in a time of crisis, people take the most risks. With color, I felt like there was an opportunity to do that as well. And I think that is very much a response to the times. The somberness of a saturated black mixed with peachy pink. These are strange color combinations that were very experimental for me, and I find them very exciting. This is my first upholstery fabric collection, and I think it's testimony to Pollock and Sunbrella and Ligne Roset and me that it all works so well.
Hey everybody, this is Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design. Well, today I'm with my good friends at Stone Source, the place to go for a curated selection of natural stone, porcelain tile, ceramic tile, glass tile, and much, much more. And today we're going to take a tour of their showroom, a virtual one, and I'm going to take it with you. And we're going to see how it all works. Then we're going to view product, some of your faves, and some exciting new collections to get us all inspired, just what we like to do. Okay, everybody, I'd love to welcome my good friends, Joe McIsaac, the President and CEO of Stone Source. Hi, Joe, how are you?
Hello, Cindy, very nice to see you.
It's great to see you. And Ron Solano, Vice President of Product Development and Procurement for Stone Source. Hi, Ron.
Hello, Cindy, how are you doing?
Great. Well, you know, typically, I'm seeing you, Joe, in the showroom, right?
Right. We love to use the showroom as a tool to bring people together, showcase product, have a good time, and be able to have more intimate one-on-ones. And so, obviously, these days, it's a little bit more difficult.
Exactly. And I know that for a designer, it's a real treat whenever you're like going to go to Stone Source, even for me, go to Stone Source, see what's new. And so I know that the showroom is a big deal for you and you had to pivot really fast. So I'm very excited to hear about the virtual showroom. Tell me how it works.
So it's a great story because during the first few months of the lockdown, we were all very concerned about how we were going to interact with our clients and what was the digital virtual world going to be like when you couldn't visit people's offices, bring them to the showroom. And so, you know, we think with a challenge like that comes opportunity. So
Right.
That's the concept of the digital showroom. It's a technology that exists. It's a 3D camera. You shoot the whole showroom with the camera, but the user experience, which has been used in real estate, you've probably seen it if you've ever done a virtual tour on any of the real estate sites. So we just haven't seen it adapted to showrooms. And we thought probably in April or May, let's order the camera and just shoot the showroom. So since then, it's just been tremendous response. We're able to walk through the entire showroom. We've got all of the products marked so that if you're interested in something that you see, you can zoom in on it, click on it, and it takes you to our website and you get more detail.
Right, so you were saying, so every product then is tagged in a way that is useful for a designer, right?
Exactly, and it's not cluttered. If you're not interested, you just go buy it. It has a little icon, and if you want to get more information, it's your choice. So it's been optimized for desktop, laptop, iPad, and telephone, and you can do it on the phone. I mean, most of the practice we did was on the phone because we figured that that's the major way people are going to use it.
Yeah, exactly. And so what you've created is, so you've created this virtual showroom, but at the same time, also a tool for the designers.
And you think about also that the showroom is a physical location, and we have 10 across the country. So you have to be within a X mile radius to visit the showroom. Now we have a showroom, and we picked our biggest showroom, the New York showroom that we shot, where you can be anywhere in the country and come to our showroom. So we think we've expanded the reach dramatically, and that people need to have the opportunity to use these tools in their home or as they move locations from the office to the home to any other place that they might be.
Yeah, and I know you were saying to me that it was like you can get through the showroom in 2 minutes, but of course you never would because you'd stop a million places to look at tile. And
Exactly. And it's super intuitive. It's very straightforward. It's not a new technology. It's a new application of a great existing technology.
Yeah, and I know that, all of these things are, all these questions are happening and how do we solve them? And we think of StoneSource as a leader. And in this case, you're like, okay, we got a lead, right?
Well, I think, under challenging times, it's like one of the things is you get a great opportunity to say, what can we do to make the most of a difficult situation? And by the way, if things were to be 100% normal and everybody's back to work, the digital virtual showroom would be a huge tool that we are going to have for the next 20 years. So
exactly. Some of the things that we're figuring out right now are things that will help us no matter what. When we get back in, you still have this tool.
With our ability to use this technology into the future it's accelerated the need to be able to have people view the showroom without coming in. This type of change has accelerated what is a normal course of the type of evolution of how we're going to communicate with our clients. Here's an interesting point. Our sampling did not change during the last 6 months. So people still want physical samples. But how do you figure out what samples you want and how do you get interested in the collections? And so the virtual showroom is the perfect tool.
I love it. Okay, wait. All right. So now I want to take the virtual tour. Okay, who's giving me the tour?
Well, I'm going to start. So
okay.
We'll as you enter the showroom, one of the first things.
I'm so excited. I'm going to the showroom.
As you enter the showroom, one of the first things we wanted to highlight was the black and white collection from Floorgrass. It was one of our recent introductions, and kind of like the textile companies, everybody wants to know what's new. You have to have new collections. There has to be product development going on constantly. And so at all of the trade shows, and we have 2 launches each year. We have a spring and a fall launch. And so everybody's interested in what's new. So the collection from Floorgrass that we're going to show you, the black and white collection,
yeah.
Floorgrass is probably one of the largest Italian manufacturers. They're the Fiat. They're from very affordable to high end. They're really good design, and they always seem to have some of the best design that really covers lots of categories.
Mm-hmm.
The black and white collection is porcelain tile in a number of different shapes and sizes. And it's very bold blacks and whites. And it kind of echoes the very strong Nero Marquino black Spanish marble or any of the white Carraras. And so we,
Yeah,
as
okay,
you,
wait, I've just gotten there. Well,
Okay.
oh my God, there's the wall of it. It looks amazing. Okay, I kind of want to touch and feel it, but that's where I get the sample.
And as you zoom in, you can get the technical information. You can see the different sizes that it comes in. We are partnered with Material Bank, where we do house lots of these samples. And so we like to communicate with our clients directly. And if they choose to use Material Bank, that's been a real plus for us.
And I like that you're showing the black and white, because that is very, very on trend, and is something that I think is the kind of thing that's going to look good forever, even though everyone wants black and white these days.
Right.
Right?
So we're really happy with our partnership with Floorgrass. We've been working with them for over 30 years. They're a tremendous partner for us. And then Ron was going to take you through and show you this great new product from the Trend Group.
Okay, but I have to say that even, because there is a bit more freedom in terms of color these days, but my designer friends, who I think have the best hand using color, are actually also always using black and white in their palettes. So black and white is forever.
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 Exactly.
Okay, Ron.
We don't disagree. I think black and white, no matter what we do, is something we always have available. So when it's really introduced in a new way, that's good news.
I love it.
Also, as you're going through the showroom, and speaking of color, Trend is a terrazzo product. We're also have had a relationship with them for over 20 years. And when you come into the VR showroom, you could obviously look at the product. The other interesting thing, there's a measurement tool on the VR showroom. So if you wanted to be precise and understand what size piece you're looking at, you could actually do a measurement. And so you can realize this is what a 24 by 24, 24 by 48 tile actually looks like, and you can confirm that size with the tool, which is something that we had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so now I'm heading over to Terrazzo Land, which, by the way, oh my God, it's such a huge variety of colorways.
Tons and tons of colors, 52.
Oh my God.
Plus the ability to obviously do custom things, which we have done for certain quantities or specific clients. The newest thing for Trend, and the terrazzo is called Origina, is microband.
Okay, so explain microband for everyone out there who may not know what that actually means.
Super. Microband is an antimicrobial product. So we can say that it's fired into the product or just kind of built in when they are manufacturing. So it's continuously working. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week tool inside the material. So it's always active, and it's reducing growth of new bacteria. So you're cleaner between cleanings, depending on where you are. If you're in a hotel room, right, as an example, if you're certainly doing your kitchen countertops or pantry tops in office spaces as we go forward. Hopefully the restaurant.
Yeah, designers are really concerned about that right now. Also because their clients are very concerned about it, right?
Correct. And I think the attention to it happened very quickly, even for us, as we started to talk about it. And so we'll have that also as part of the VR showroom. You can click on to the terrazzo products, and you can get all the technical details. You can get all the information on microband, the lifetime, its extended product lifetime, all the things and characteristics that you need to know are all in this virtual world as well. In addition, they do all types of mosaics, and so you can kind of jump into the other products that Trend also does, which we typically sell in conjunction with the flooring. And this product is something we sell from, we just recently sold for an airport flooring. We've done, again, cafeteria. We've done hospitality. You can make countertops. So we're really continue to be excited about it, and the relationship has continuously grown. And I think the microband is awfully timely in the world that we live in.
Yeah, yeah. Don't you think so? When we're talking about surfaces like safe or safer surfaces. It's, again, something that we, as designers, never really had to worry about in the past. And now it's just, you know, the hot topic. So it's really important for you guys to educate the designers on that.
We certainly agree with that.
Okay,
Correct.
so thank you for that. Now I want to get to new, because designers are always interested in that. And first of all, Joe, tell us about this long-standing relationship with Mutina.
I think the best way to think of Mutina is that they're unlike any other company in their space. So I think of them as a design company, right? They're not a manufacturer, they're a designer. And while they do in-house design, they're really known for going and getting outside designers to help them design product for them. So predominantly, they're designing porcelain tile. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Brock, which is almost more like a brick or an object of art. But I think a little bit of the history is important. So as a design-driven company, we just had this, you know, simpatico between them, and we really enjoy each other's company, and we've always been delighted by their products. And the fact that they go outside of kind of the normal industrial design quotient to get new designs. So they go to people like Patricia Urquiola, the Spanish-born Milan-based designer who designs hotels and furniture and carpets and textiles, and is very prolific. And so when she had the opportunity to design tile, I promise you it looks like no other tile anybody had ever seen. Okay. So that was kind of the initial interest. And you know Patricia, and you know her.
I know Patricia, and I have a bunch of bathrooms with Mutina. I was so excited by the collection that anytime I went into your showroom, I would sell designers on it too. I had the Azulé.
Azulé, yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so Patricia Urquiola, Barber, and Osgerby had done 2 collections recently that have been very successful. They're British industrial designers, have designed the torch for the Olympics in the UK. They design furniture. They've gone to Toguchin Yoshioka, and that's a Japanese designer. So each of the designers that they've gone to, oftentimes we're designing tile for the first time. And so literally, it's just every new design is something that delights us. And when we bring it to our clients, we get that same look. They say, I've never seen anything like this. They're a smaller company compared to like a Floorgrass. So, you know, they're the Ferrari to the Floorgrass of the Fiat. And Mutina is much more boutique-y. High design, really unique. And for things like flooring and walls with hard surfaces, sometimes the regular stuff is just not as dynamic.
Wait, Joe, do you guys remember that we had lunch together? This was years ago now, and you pulled out a tile at lunch from Patricia with Mutina, and it was like the first kind of like off dirty pink before that became huge. It was like the first tile that ever landed in the US that had that tone, and you guys were like, what do you think? You know, and oh my God, talk about being right on trend and starting the trend, frankly.
That was the Tiaras collection, and you know what I remember from the lunch is I called the color peach, and you promptly corrected me and said, no, blush.
Right.
And so from then on, blush is my go-to term with anything that's in that colorway. And obviously you hosted our event here with when Patricia was here. I think that's six years ago already.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah. So you think about when blush wasn't like a color, like, right? When it was like, whoa. So that was a long time ago. Now it's like, oh, blush.
Well,
exactly.
And here's a funny story about Mutina in general. We always introduce their new products as our new products, right? We have this and you know, they have new products every year, and we're always featuring their new products. Sometimes their new product introduction does not sell the first year, but it sells the second year and the third and the fourth year. And that's because if they're at the very forefront of kind of design philosophy or colorway, sometimes it literally can take 6, 9, 12 months. Other products sell right away. And so we've both agreed, both companies, that we withhold judgment, because if they're early, it doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means the rest of the world has to catch up. And so that's been our experience.
First of all, that's so smart of you. I completely agree, because I think sometimes the most exciting things are ahead of the trend, and you have to give people time to catch up. And that's why sometimes collections that you're so smart to hold on, because sometimes amazing ideas are in the back room somewhere because it didn't sell right away.
Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. All right, so you're going to say, okay, let's get to some news.
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Ron's going to talk about the bra collection.
Okay, so I know this is an artist, right?
This is an artist, Natalie de Pasquier. And the interesting note is Natalie was one of the original founders of Memphis in Milan, right? And so imagine the think tank that was in the early 80s, and you still see their product being sold today, and the use of color and making furniture and making textiles and carpets. So Natalie, since 1987, has been a painter. And one of the first things she did with Mutina was create these brick towers. And they had an art exhibit. So it wasn't even making tile. It was for an art exhibit that she did in their premises. And Mutina has changed their DNA as well. So they're also aligning art in addition to making tile. And it's a passion of Massimo, the owner. Very, modern art driven. He loves all of the incredibly peculiar things in some cases, but clearly leading the industry with artwork. And so he told me this story about this wonderful person, and I met her, and she was born in France, but she's Milan, so she's really Italian. And Massimo is a very animated individual, if you remember. And he saw these towers, they call them, and they were made of brick. And she painted the brick in different colors, and just basically, there's 8 or 10 of them that they did this installation, and people just kind of flipped out. And he pursued her you have to make a tile line for us. And within 6 months, they actually had a collection together, which is very, very fast. And when you see it, I think the tile is kind of treated as artwork. So when you see these pieces and patterns of one of these other new things called Margarita, it's pretty incredible. The one that's over my shoulder is more homage to what she built in these towers with brick. So it's terracotta. It's an extruded terracotta, so a historical building product, right? It's been used forever. And she's basically created this idea that you could play with light inside a space. It's obviously just a false wall, if you call it something like that. You could be framed, meant as a partition and that sort of thing. But it's a sculpture. And so one of the other things we did in the showroom to shoot the VR showroom is we wanted to build these. Then there's 2 displays, one with Celosia, which is Patricia's product in terracotta, and then the Brock. And so actually, in the VR showroom, you can walk around the piece. So like you would do in a museum, right? So if this was on display, you could physically walk around the piece. So we've accomplished that in the VR showroom, and you'll be able to see that. But
so a couple things. So it's how many colorways does it come in?
You have 5 colors. There's the Argilla, if you can see just the plain terracotta, and then there's 4 glazed colors. The glazes are done by hand. If I could grab one, this may be your favorite one.
Gorgeous.
This is called Salvia, and basically they kind of hang the terracotta piece, and it's sprayed by hand to get the glaze. It's pretty incredible. So the glazed product you can put outside. The regular terracotta, because there's too much absorption, would just be an interior product. But you can do vertical installation, as you can kind of see behind me. You could do horizontal, or even the pieces interlock.
Beautiful.
So really pretty fascinating, one piece creating all these type of designs. We're really excited about it.
Ron, it's for commercial and residential, right?
Commercial, residential, again, lobby spaces. We've sold the Celosia for people who have done the front of cash wraps in front of bars. There was a hotel we did in Hawaii where they actually they painted the name of the hotel like on top of the pieces. So I think it's this creative item of a very traditional product. We're really excited about it. It's a lot of fun, and getting to learn about Natalie has been also a fun idea. And we'll have a new product from them coming up early next year that she's designed. So we're very excited.
I want to meet Natalie. Sounds amazing.
Me too.
Designers will love this because anything in modules that they can create, you know, give them a DNA, you know, give them something to start with, and then they're,
Yes.
you know, sky's the limit. I love that it creates architecture within spaces and the light coming through. It's beautiful.
No, that's a great point. And I think a lot of times when I look at product or think about product, you want to give the designer that opportunity, right?
I always say, give a designer A, B, or C, and they'll always go for D. So you got to let them have their D.
Got to let them have fun. Absolutely.
So what's your, give a last word on Brock.
Well, I think that the idea of what the finished product is going to look like is limitless.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to do a quick recap. First of all, amazing new technology with the virtual showroom. So designers, you really can see what's happening. You can use your phone and scan the products. Don't worry about sampling because our friends at Stone Source work with Material Bank. And then there are collections that you're always going to want to specify from. There's the black and white, there's terrazzo, and then this new Mutina collection called Brock. Amazing. I want some. Look. Guys, look.
Yes, exactly.
Hello.
We've been admiring that for months, Cindy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fantastic.
Well, listen, it was so much fun. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Ron, for sharing and being a leader in this industry and supporting the designers in this way with new tools, new product. We need it. We need to stay inspired, and you guys definitely inspire us.
Thanks so much, Cindy.
Great to see you, Cindy.
Yeah, thank you. We'll get on the other side of this one.
We will.
For sure.
Okay. Bye, guys.